Thursday didn't start like the day my life would blow apart. It started with burnt toast and a half cup of cold coffee, same as always. My son Mason was at the kitchen table in his oversized hoodie, legs swinging, muttering to himself while trying to beat a level on his tablet. The TV in the living room was stuck on low volume, some rerun of cartoons he'd already seen. My back was sore from another 10-hour shift down at the shipping yard, and all I wanted was 10 minutes of quiet and maybe enough money to make it to the next payday. But life doesn't give you that kind of courtesy. I pulled out my phone, screen cracked top to bottom, corner chipped from when it fell off the forklift, and tapped into the banking app. Routine. I checked it like some folks check the weather. I was just trying to see if the water bill came out yet. Instead, I saw it. Your balance has fallen below the minimum threshold. That happens sometimes. We live close to the edge. But it wasn't our checking account. It wasn't the grocery budget. It was the college fund. The one we opened when Mason turned 4. The one I'd been stacking cash into every month like it was the only thing keeping me sane. $0.00. No mistake. No rounding error. Not even a stray penny left behind. Gone. I stared at the number until the screen dimmed. Then I tapped again. Refreshed. Still zero. Still no transactions. Just an empty line where 6 years of hard work used to be. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Danielle and I had our fights, loud ones, cold ones, silent ones, but we always said that fund was off limits. Sacred, even. For Mason, she used to say, patting my arm like she actually meant it. So where was it? Where the hell did it go? Danielle? I called out, throat dry. Nothing. The house didn't answer, just the soft hum of the fridge and the high-pitched ding from Mason's game. I stepped into the hallway. Her purse, usually tossed on the console table, was gone. Her keys too. I checked the coat hooks. Empty. Bedroom, half her closet stripped bare. Empty hangers swinging. Bathroom, the good makeup bag missing, the one she only took when she traveled. Then I caught the scent. That overpriced perfume, bitter citrus and fake flowers, still hung in the air like a ghost that hadn't figured out it was dead. I knew right then. She didn't just run out for milk. She was gone. I dialed her number. Straight to voicemail. Again. Same thing. Mason walked in from the kitchen. His hair was a mess, and he still had peanut butter on his cheek from breakfast. He looked at me and asked, "Where's Mom?" I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. She said she was going somewhere, he said before I could fake it. But she didn't say when she'd be back. I tried to smile. It didn't stick. Probably soon, I said. Lie. A bad one. I waited till he walked back to the couch, then opened the laptop on the kitchen counter. Pulled up our joint credit card account. I didn't want to. I had to. It was all right there. $2,400 at a hotel in Nashville. A flight to Las Vegas first class. Dinner charges from steakhouses we couldn't even pronounce. Spa bookings. Designer clothing stores. Liquor, boutique cosmetics, a second cell phone plan. I scrolled and scrolled until my fingers started to go numb. She hadn't just left. She'd funded a whole new life with our son's future. I felt something hot crawl up the back of my neck. Anger. Not rage. Something colder. Something heavier. I sat down at the table, stared at Mason's empty cereal bowl, and thought about every single shift I'd worked. Every weekend I gave up. Every Christmas morning where I said, maybe next year. But instead of giving him the things he wanted. All of it. So she could disappear with some mystery man and a suitcase full of my boy's dreams. I remember last Christmas crystal clear. I'd spent most of December sanding old wood in the freezing yard behind the shop, crafting Mason a handmade desk for when he started middle school. Danielle rolled her eyes when I dragged it in. Said it looked like something from a garage sale. I told her it had character. She laughed and said, "You mean it's crooked?" Mason loved it anyway. Drew comics on it. Built Lego ships. Wrote a letter to Santa that he knew was a joke, but still wanted me to read. And now here I was, staring at a hollowed-out life. And she didn't even leave a note. But Mason, he noticed more than I ever gave him credit for. As I sat there trying to pull my head together, he appeared again. He had that quiet stillness about him, like he knew I was about to fall apart, and he didn't want to watch it happen. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I fixed it, Dad." I blinked. "Fixed what?" "The money," he said. "It's back." I stared at him. That same crooked little smile. Calm. Like he'd just taken the trash out. I found him in the garage. He had his little workbench pulled out, the one we built together from scraps a few years back. Tools were scattered everywhere. Not toy tools either, real ones. My father's old soldering iron, Mason's tablet open beside a mess of wires and a whiteboard leaning against the pegboard wall. And that board. It was covered in diagrams. Arrows. Flowcharts. Something that looked like a family tree turned crime web. Danielle's name was in the center, circled 3 times. Branches led out to names I didn't recognize. Hotels, websites, emails, usernames. Some were scratched out. Others had question marks. What the hell is all this? I said before I could stop myself. Mason flinched but didn't panic. He stood up, turned around slow, and crossed his arms like he was ready to be grounded. You weren't supposed to see that yet, he said. See what? I snapped. That you've got some kind of conspiracy board going like you're running a CIA op? He looked down, then back up. I didn't mean to scare you. I needed to figure things out. I walked over to the whiteboard. There was a printed receipt taped to it, a hotel booking in Savannah. Underneath it, a sticky note in Mason's handwriting. Check if linked to her other card. How did you get this? Mason hesitated. She saved passwords on her phone. I looked through her browser history. Then I used some of the tools from the STEM Club to backtrace her email addresses. You what? I was floored. Not mad, just stunned. She used the same password for everything, Dad. Her bank app, the backup email, even that shopping site she used to buy those face creams from. My head spun. I rubbed my hands over my face. I didn't steal anything, he added fast. I just watched, followed. She left footprints everywhere. I sat down on the old camp chair in the corner. Mason walked over and crouched next to me, serious as a heart attack. I think she's been planning this for a long time, he said. She has another phone. I found it under her vanity drawer months ago. You never told me? I didn't know what it was at first. Then I started putting it together. He tapped his tablet. She's been talking to someone named R. That's all the messages say. Just the initial. But he paid for one of her flights. Now it was all coming too fast. Too real. My 10-year-old had built a surveillance operation in our garage. He was good at it. He showed me a spreadsheet he'd made, tracking dates, times, locations, logins, receipts, all linked to Danielle's activity, even IP addresses. She used the public library computer sometimes, he said. Probably thought no one would track her there. But they still record logins. I didn't know whether to be proud or terrified. And then he said it. I got the money back. I stared at him. How? He pulled up another screen. His fingers moved fast, too fast for a kid. There were emails from banks, alerts, confirmations. Transactions reversed. He had faked a report from her phone to her bank, claimed fraud, used their own systems to recover it. She used her name for the college account transfers, he said. I just undid it. Before she could move it again. Mason, I couldn't even finish. Legal? No. Moral? Probably. Necessary? Absolutely. She shouldn't have taken it, he said, voice like stone. She doesn't get to take our future and think nobody's watching. I sat there in the dark garage, the only sound the buzz of the old light overhead. Dad? He asked. Yeah. I think she's trying to sell something that isn't hers. I turned to him. She had a document on her backup phone. Something about the house. A listing. Like she was trying to sell it behind your back. I don't think she ever planned to come home. That was it. That was the moment the fear turned into fire. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and told Mason to stay put. I needed answers. The day started with birdsong. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that felt like mockery. Sunlight spilled through the blinds like it had any right to, and I sat on the back porch with my coffee, wondering if my hands would ever stop shaking. The money was back in Mason's fund. Danielle was gone. Her name still sat there in our online accounts, echoing in the digital paper trail she left behind like a virus you can't scrub. But for that moment, Mason was safe. He was inside working on some school project about constellations. Said he didn't need help. I'd barely taken a sip when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. Georgia area code. I already knew. I let it ring twice before picking up. Hello. A pause. Just breathing on the other end. Then her voice. What the hell did you do, Jake? Sharp. Piercing. No warmth. Not even a hint of regret. Just fury disguised in composure. Danielle's version of love always sounded like a warning. Good morning to you too, I muttered, not moving from my chair. My card was declined at checkout, she snapped. Do you understand what that means? I had to stand there like a fool while they called over a manager. In front of everyone. I didn't say a word. Let her fill the silence. You froze everything, didn't you? Went behind my back and told the bank I stole it. You lowlife son of a, she stopped, caught herself. Don't you dare try to act like the victim. I had a plan, Jake. And you? You had a lover, Danielle, I cut in. And a new life ready to go. Using our son's college savings. She scoffed. You think you're some kind of hero now? You think reversing that transfer fixes anything? No. I said slowly. But it stops you from burning down what little future Mason still has. She went quiet, but I could hear her breathing. Fast. Hard. She wasn't done. The casino is demanding payment, she hissed. So is the spa. You embarrassed me in public, Jake. Do you get that? I couldn't even pay for my damn eggs this morning. I didn't do it, I said. Silence again. Liar. No, I repeated. It wasn't me. She waited. It was Mason. Now she exploded. You're letting a 10-year-old run your life, she barked. Do you know how messed up that is? What kind of father lets a child hack bank accounts? That's criminal, Jake. And stupid. I sipped my coffee. Let her scream. And you think this is over? You think I won't fight back? Everything I built, gone overnight because you decided to turn our son into a spy. You built nothing, I said calmly. You took. You lied. You hid phones and passwords and credit cards. You played house while you drained us. And Mason? He didn't spy. He watched. Something I should have done a long time ago. I had to do it, she whispered. Why? I asked. Why lie for years? Why fake the marriage, fake the effort? You could have just left. I needed more than this, she snapped. You. This house. Your sad little job and flannel shirts and hand-me-down tools. You want to talk about faking it? I've been pretending for years, Jake. I wanted out. I wanted to feel alive again. You stole from your son. No, I stole from you. Her voice sharpened. Don't act like you ever gave me what I needed. You gave me groceries and gas money and rules. I wanted freedom, and someone gave it to me. I asked, letting the name hang. Silence. Yeah, I said, nodding to myself. Mason found the messages. All of them. Flights. Rooms. Payments. Even the fake property listing you were getting ready to post. That little brat, she growled. I stood up. You should hear yourself, I said. You're not even sorry. You're mad you got caught. You've ruined everything, she hissed. I had leverage. I was going to get full custody if you tried anything. I had friends. Lawyers. You're nothing, Jake. You work with your hands and come home smelling like rust. You couldn't even see what was right in front of you. I see it now, I said. All of it. Then her voice went cold. Calculating. The same way she used to talk to Mason when she was done pretending to care. Then let me make this clear, she said. I'm not going quietly. You think that money matters? I'll get it back. I'll take Mason if I have to. I closed my eyes. I'm not afraid of you anymore, Danielle. She hung up. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I walked inside. Mason was at the table, drawing planets. He looked up. Was it her? I nodded. She mad? Yeah, I said. He shrugged. She should have thought of that before she heard us. I wanted to cry. Right there. But I didn't. Instead, I made us breakfast. Eggs, toast, bacon, even warmed up the old skillet. I played Willie Nelson on the Bluetooth speaker, low and easy. Mason ate 3 slices of bacon and drew a ring around Saturn in red marker. But that piece didn't last. Because around noon, the doorbell rang. A man stood there. Charcoal suit. Government ID on his belt. His face was calm, unreadable. Mr. Renshaw? Yeah. I'm Agent Lowe. Homeland Security. I need to ask you some questions regarding a series of fraudulent accounts connected to your name and your wife's. I blinked. He flashed the ID again. I'd appreciate your cooperation. Mason came to the door. I held up a hand. Go to your room, but he didn't argue. I stepped outside with the agent. Danielle listed you as a co-signer on at least 6 high-value purchases in 3 states, he explained. We have reason to believe some of these transactions were used to launder money, including casino chips exchanged in Reno and Vegas. She said you were complicit, he added, and that your son had access to government tracking software. My mouth went dry. You think I'm helping her? I asked. We're not accusing you, he said. Yet. But I'd advise you to get legal representation. I stood on the porch, watching the SUV pull away, feeling like the wind had been knocked out of me. Danielle wasn't just trying to escape. I'd gone to bed the night before thinking the worst was behind us. Danielle had gone silent after our last call. Mason and I had spent the evening cooking chili, watching old sci-fi movies, and folding laundry together like the two of us had been doing it forever. It was peaceful, even with the house feeling half-haunted from everything she left behind. But peace is short-lived in a house that used to house a storm, especially when the storm turns around. It was a Wednesday morning. Cold, wet, gray. I was out behind the shed, splitting kindling for the wood stove. The air smelled like damp leaves and unfinished business. The rhythm of the axe helped clear my head. Chop, stack, chop, stack. I was just catching my breath when I heard the sound I'd been dreading for weeks. Tires. slow on the gravel, heavy like trouble. I turned, and there she was, Danielle, the woman I once called my wife. Now just a ghost wearing designer boots and a blazer that probably cost more than my entire week's wages. She stepped out of a silver rental SUV like she was returning from vacation, not from betrayal. Her hair was freshly done, tanned sharper than when she left, lipstick painted on like war paint. And then I saw him. He stepped out from the passenger side. Tall, early 30s, maybe, clean cut, beard trimmed sharp, like he trimmed it with a level. Leather jacket, designer jeans. That confident, smug, heavy-lidded expression of someone who never earned the life they were living. I didn't need an introduction. This was Raphael, the man she stole the money for, the man she left me and Mason for. They walked up the porch like they owned the deed. Raphael held his phone in one hand, texting without looking up. Danielle led the charge, heels clacking against the wood like a countdown to a detonation. She didn't even knock. "Jake," she shouted through the door. "We need to talk. Now." I met them halfway. "You must be out of your damn mind," I said. "Don't start," she barked, brushing past me. "We've got things to settle. I'm not here to play games." She marched into the living room like she still lived there. Raphael followed, casually tossing his duffel bag onto the couch like it was a hotel bed. "What are you doing?" I asked, standing still by the door. "Living," she said. "This is still my house too. And until things get resolved, Raphael and I will be staying here." "You're not staying here," I growled. "Yes, we are," she snapped. "You can call your lawyer if you've got one. This property's still in both our names. Unless there's a restraining order, I have every right to walk through that door." I laughed, cold and bitter. "You blew up our lives," I said, "and now you're just moving your affair into our son's home?" She waved a hand. "Stop being dramatic. Raphael's not the bad guy here. He knew you were married. He knew I was miserable," she snapped. "That's not the same thing." "You left," I said. "You drained our son's college fund. You tried to sell this place behind my back." Her eyes narrowed. "I had to," she said. "I needed to get away from this dump. From you. From all of this small-town, dead-end life. I wanted out. And now I want what's owed to me." "Owed to you?" She stepped in close. "I want this house sold. By the end of the week. The casino froze my accounts. The spa sent debt notices. I need the cash, Jake. Raphael and I have plans. Real ones." Mason appeared in the hallway, silent. Watching. Listening. His face was blank, but I saw the storm behind his eyes. Danielle turned to him. "Don't look at me like that, Mason. You don't even deserve that college fund. You're 10. You don't know what life costs. That money could change my future. Yours? You just blow it on books and some garbage dorm room." Raphael chuckled behind her, like it was funny. That's when I snapped. "Get out," I said. "No," she said flatly. "We're staying. And I swear to God, Jake, if you lay a single finger on Raphael or me, I'll file assault charges. I'll take full custody. I'll paint you like the unstable one." I turned to Mason. "Go to your room, buddy." He didn't move. "Mason, go." He nodded slowly, walked away. Danielle rolled her eyes and made a beeline to the kitchen. "Ugh, no real groceries. Not even wine. What kind of father are you?" She rummaged through drawers like a thief in her own home. Raphael sat on the edge of the couch, pulling up stock apps on his phone. "We want the master," Danielle shouted. "I'm not sleeping in some closet with a twin bed." I walked outside. I had to. I paced the yard for 20 minutes, then went back inside. She was blasting music on the Bluetooth speaker. My playlist. Mason sat at the dining table with his laptop. Calm. Focused. I crouched beside him. "You okay?" He didn't look up. "She logged into my school account using the Wi-Fi," he said. "Big mistake. I had a tracker set up. Every time someone connects and searches certain terms, like banks, property records, emails, I get a ping." "What kind of tracker?" "A honeypot," he said simply. He opened a folder. Inside was a map. Red lines. Trails. IP logs. They're trying to cover their tracks. But they're clumsy. I looked at the name on one of the logs. Raphael J. Mendez. "She's not the only one with secrets," Mason said. "He's wanted in 2 counties for fraud. Skipped a court date in Arizona. And that ID he used? Fake." I stared at the screen. "She's protecting a criminal," I whispered. Mason looked up. "No. She's financing one." We heard shouting from the kitchen. "You know what?" Danielle yelled. "Let's get the realtor here tomorrow. I'm done playing house. This place is a hole." I stood. "No," I said. "This ends tonight." Danielle burst into the room. "Excuse me. You want this house? File for it. Take it to court." But I'm not selling. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm not scared of you. Her face twisted. You don't think I can ruin you? I stepped forward. Try me. And that's when Raphael's phone buzzed. He looked down. Froze. What? Danielle asked. He stared at the screen. Turned pale. What's going on? She snapped. He looked at me. At Mason. You set me up, he said. Mason leaned back in his chair. Did I? Raphael grabbed his bag. We need to go. Now. Danielle panicked. What's happening? Raphael muttered. They found me. And just like that, he ran out the door. Car started. Gone in seconds. Danielle stood there, stunned. What did you do? She whispered. I turned to her. You lost everything. But not because of me. Because you brought poison into this house and fed it to your own son. She didn't speak. Just stood there. And then for the first time in weeks, I saw something real in her eyes. The first time Danielle brought her mother into our problems, Mason was 3 and had spilled milk on Janice's white handbag. The woman acted like he'd kicked her dog. Since then, every time something in our marriage cracked, Janice came crawling out of whatever luxury spa or shopping spree she was buried in to offer her wisdom. She always took Danielle's side, not because she believed in her daughter, but because she hated me more. And now, years later, she came marching up the driveway like she'd been waiting her whole life to say, I told you so. I didn't even have time to shut the blinds. The knock on the door was stiff. Legal. The kind that sounded like it came from someone who owned a clipboard and wasn't afraid to use it. When I opened it, Janice stood there in a lavender pantsuit, pearl earrings swinging, sunglasses perched on top of her helmet hair like she was about to host a Palm Beach brunch. Well, Jacob, she said, stepping right in. Still clinging to the stump, I see. Good morning to you too, I muttered. Behind her came Danielle, her face glowing like she'd just been to a spa. She wasn't even trying to pretend anymore. The fake humility was gone. She looked satisfied, smug, dangerous. We need to talk, she said. They made themselves at home in my kitchen. My kitchen. Same place I used to scramble eggs for Mason while Danielle slept till noon. Same table where she'd once cried about her miscarriage, and I'd held her hand for 2 hours straight, not saying a word. Now she and her mother sat there like they were hosting an open house. Let's keep this civil, Janice said, smoothing her silk scarf. We've spoken with a realtor, and we both agree the house should be sold immediately. I leaned against the counter. You mean you agree? It's what's best for everyone, Danielle chimed in. For you, I corrected. Not for Mason. Not for me. And not for the family you left behind. Janice pursed her lips like she was holding in the desire to slap me. Be realistic, she snapped. This house is falling apart. You'll never get a better price than right now. The market's moving. You're sitting on a gold mine and crying over broken dishes. Was that the pitch your realtor friend gave you? Danielle leaned forward. I want it sold. Period. I'm tired of arguing. I want out. I want my half. And I want it now. I didn't respond. I was watching Mason, who had quietly slipped into the living room, tablet in hand, pretending to scroll through a math app. But I knew that look. He was listening. And logging. Janice continued. You'll get a decent amount. Maybe enough to buy something modest. We've already started the paperwork. You what? I asked. Danielle pulled out a folder from her tote. Real estate forms. Pre-signed. In her hand. My name printed on every page. These are copies, she said. The originals are already in motion. It's just a matter of you signing. Or not. Either way, we'll get a court order. You'll lose the house in litigation anyway. Where do you get the nerve? I asked quietly. Janice leaned in. From watching you waste my daughter's best years. Now either sign, or watch the sheriff tape an eviction notice on your garage. Mason stood up. I'd like to say something, he said. Janice rolled her eyes. Let the adults talk. No, I said. Go ahead, Mason. He walked to the table. Calm. Steady. In his shark-themed hoodie, one sock missing, hair sticking up like always. I've been tracking everything you've done since you came back, he said to Danielle. She froze. I know about the private buyer you called. The escrow documents. The backdoor login you used through the public library IP. You used Dad's email as a signature validator. You didn't think anyone would notice the timestamp mismatch. Janice's face contorted. What on earth is he talking about? Mason tapped on his tablet. A slideshow began. Danielle's forged documents, dated phone logs, voice recordings, screenshots of realtor emails. Danielle shot out of her chair. You little freak. I stepped between them. Don't, I warned. You've been spying on me? No, Mason said. I've been protecting what's mine. What's Dad's? What's fair? Danielle's hands trembled. That's illegal, she barked. You hacked me. You broke into my room, Mom, Mason said. You tried to delete files off my laptop while I was asleep. I left a trigger script. The second you touched the wrong folder, every file was duplicated and sent to a backup server. He tapped again. And to a law firm. Janice's face drained of color. What law firm? She asked. Mason smiled, small, cold. Evans, Wilcox and Banner. Dad's friend Greg works there. He's been reviewing the file since yesterday. Danielle turned to me. You knew? I didn't have to, I said. Mason's been 3 steps ahead since you walked back in that door. The room was silent. Then Mason said the final blow. I also reported you to the fraud division. You used Dad's identity. You signed his name. That's a felony. Danielle dropped into her chair. For the first time in forever, she didn't have anything to say. Janice stood up, grabbed her purse. You won't get away with this, she said to me. I didn't do anything, I said. Your daughter did. She marched out, heels clicking on the floor. Danielle lingered for a moment. Her face flicked through anger, fear, disgust, and disbelief. I gave you everything, she whispered. No, I replied. You took everything. And we're still standing. And Mason, my 10-year-old, sat down at the kitchen table, took a sip of his juice, and said, So, what's for dinner? Danielle always said she wasn't the type to fade quietly. I'm a firework, not a candle, she used to say, laughing over a glass of overpriced wine. Back then, I thought it was charming, maybe even romantic. But fireworks don't just light up a sky, they explode. And that's exactly what she did. It started with silence. Not the kind that hangs like peace. This silence was loaded, electric, the type that came before a storm broke loose. It had been 2 weeks since Mason exposed her in the kitchen, since Janice stormed out, clutching her purse like a weapon and vowing courtroom annihilation. No calls. No letters. No knocks on the door. I should have known better than to think she was retreating. Danielle didn't retreat. She regrouped. One morning, a plain white envelope landed in our mailbox. No return address. Inside was a notice from a loan firm I didn't recognize, Phoenix Credit Holdings. Mason and I sat at the table, eyes scanning the fine print. Danielle L. Barron. $48,000 approved. Disbursement completed. 19.9% interest. Secured by future inheritance or private equity. What equity? I muttered. Mason tapped on his tablet, already tracing the account number. The money had been wired to a holding account in Nevada. We knew that name too well by now. Monarch Grand Resort. Casino, spa, high-rise suites, and disaster wrapped in velvet. She didn't even try to hide it this time. She's trying to buy back her identity, Mason said. She's going to drown in that loan. She doesn't care. He was right. Again, we watched the spending unfold like a slow-motion car crash. Mason's server pinged every transaction tied to her burner email and new account credentials. Champagne room charges. Custom facial therapy. A $600 breakfast. Yes, breakfast. Boutique shopping sprees for handbags and lingerie. She's not rebuilding, I said. She's erasing everything, Mason replied. I stared at the screen. $873 at a boutique labeled Silk and Fire. $3,200 at the high-stakes poker room. $900 for a private poolside massage package. She was back in her fantasy, only this time without the guardrails. A week after the loan notification, my phone rang. Blocked number. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Jake. Her voice was shaky. Fast. I need money. There it was. They won't let me leave the room. The casino. They froze everything. The loan's already tied up, and I cut her off. You took out 48 grand. What happened to it? It's gone, she whispered. No. You spent it. It's not like that. Then what is it like, Danielle? Tell me. Silence. I needed to feel like me again, she said finally. Like the version of me that mattered. You stole from your son to do it. I didn't steal. Yes, you did. You took, you lied, and you vanished. I heard something crash in the background. Maybe a glass. I'm stuck here, Jake. I need help. I don't care about you, but I know you still care about appearances. You don't want Mason's mom arrested in a hotel lobby, right? It was a threat. A desperate one. She was using the only thing she had left, shame. But I didn't flinch. You chose this. I didn't have a choice. You had every choice, I said. You just hated all the ones that didn't make you feel like a queen. She started crying. I'm not sending you a dime. I'm still his mother, she spat. He still loves me. No, he doesn't. Click. I set the phone down. Mason was standing in the hallway. He'd heard it all. He didn't ask questions. Just went back to his desk, opened his laptop, and started coding again. I watched his fingers fly across the keyboard. Not angry, not frantic, just focused. She's going to try and shift the debt, he said calmly. She'll use your name next. Or mine. Let her try, I said. And she did. 2 days later, we received a collections inquiry on an account we never opened, a card with a $6,000 balance issued under my name. Charges dated to the week prior. More boutique shopping. More high-end restaurants. More lies. Mason had anticipated it. The moment she used my name, his server fired off a pre-programmed alert to the bank's fraud division. Within 20 minutes, the account was flagged and frozen. Her shopping spree ended mid-swipe. Later that night, a voicemail landed on the house phone. You think you've won? Danielle's voice crackled through. You and that boy of yours. You think cutting me off makes you strong? You're both pathetic. You're parasites feeding on my legacy. I made this family. I kept it together. And now all you'll have left is your dusty old furniture and bitterness. I deleted the message. Mason watched me do it. You okay, Dad? He asked. I looked at him. Really looked. This boy. This kid. He should have been worrying about math homework and video games. Instead, he'd become my firewall, my lookout, my partner in a battle I never wanted. I am now, I said. But the world had one last surprise. 2 weeks later, I got a knock on the door. Not police. Not lawyers. A man in a maintenance uniform, holding a manila envelope. Delivery for Mr. Renshaw. I signed. He left. Inside the envelope was a hotel statement. Itemized. Detailed. At the bottom was a handwritten note. A different pen. Bold slanted print. Hope it was worth it. D.